Hi, Mr. Sands. How are you? It's Jaheem. Sorry, I'm in a different setting because my dad's working downstairs. But today we're going to be talking about the Baroque period part 2, which we need to learn about tonality, counterpoint, fugue, invention, how they were used, also what instruments were popular, and improvising in music. Oh, sorry. So let's start with tonality. So tonality is like a principle of organizing musical compositions around a central note. So the tonic composers start using tonality in the Baroque period, like in the 19th century. So and next, so before you can say we had modality. So modality could be it could be seen like largely as melodically based system, whereas tonality is a base around the creation and employment of chords. So modality wasn't popular in during the Baroque period, so they had to make a shift. So the way they shifted from modality to tonality was vocals. More vocals were being more used in the Baroque period, and so I guess they still use modality today, but it wasn't as big. But so people started using tonality because it was more better. Voices are more powerful. Well, I wouldn't say that, but voices, I think they're more popular than like modes. So next we have is a counterpoint. A counterpoint is the art of combining different melodic lines in a musical composition. So basically, like two different melodies playing at the same time, like a Mary Had a Little Lamb. The next example, the next question you said for number 3, I think that how counterpoint were like more used, not used, used in a way. So like in Mary, you can hear two different parts, but like in a way they want you to hear like the more of the melody than like the background. So when counterpoint became like big after, well, it came less popular after Bach died, but in the classical era and like the composers like Mozart, Beethoven, etc. Counterpoint they studied counterpoint to basically employ more contrapuntal textures in their later music than their youth. Next we have is the next question. So an invention is kind of like having two voices. So you have a low voice and a high voice. They kind of want you to hear the high voice than the low voice because it's not more bigger. A fugue is more I hope I said it right. A fugue is like more complex. It has like 3 voices, which is gonna be more confusing to hear. And I'm like, cause when she played the example, I forgot which symphony or piece it was. It was Bach, and then it was in C major, and he has 3 different voices playing. So basically, what I found interesting was the instrumental function, how functional became instruments in the Baroque period. So thanks to tonality, it became the tone of an instrument became more complex, because you know how instruments in the Baroque period era was more for dancing, more background. But now, since tonality was developed during the Baroque period, they just start listening to it, maybe dance to it, stuff like that. Because I forgot, because Baroque period, when they had operas, they used instruments as backgrounds, but more vocals were more used in operas than instruments. But then tonality came out, and then they use it as like to listening to them, and so they can dance to it and they can also listen, which is kind of cool. So idiomatic writing is where a composer writes a music for a certain instrument. So like how piano play piano music, violinists play violin music. So the instruments that was popular in the piano, and in the Baroque period was the oboe, the piano, and the violin. I don't know if I got, and the organ. I don't know if that was right. But like I don't know if this was right. Also, there was also harpsichords and I forgot the other chord. But then it was two chords like in pianos. Um, so more modern pianos, like more modern instruments, were more popular than like the old times because they're more expressive and more loud and like more like had more melody in them. And lastly, how the improvising in music worked for how to roll in music. So basically, it was like a strong threat, and people like wanted them to like improvise with them with more complex music. So you can say like it was more work for them, but like because people enjoy their music, so they just start studying improvises and then they start making changes to them. So basically, it was most of them. But more of the story is it was a strong thread for musicians. Um. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video report for part 2. I'm lucky it was not longer than this one. But I hope you have a good weekend, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.